Welcome to Nightmares Before Bed, a supernatural podcast where each show will explore dark and mysterious places, eerie creatures, and all things spooky and creepy. And speaking of spooky and creepy, please help me welcome your hosts Jonathan Rosen and Troy Cannon.
Hello and welcome to the very first episode of Nightmares Before Bed. I'm one of your hosts, Jonathan Rosen, along with Troy Cannon, and this is going to be a weekly podcast of all things spooky and creepy and mysterious. And the very first one, I'm going to let Troy introduce it. This was his suggestion. We're going to be talking about the St. Pete mini lights, and which I knew nothing about before you mentioned it. I lived in St. Pete for years. So, and now I know all about it because I started doing research, but why don't you introduce the whole thing about it? Hello, Troy.
All right. The mini lights, originally, I'm from Jersey, came to Florida, moved to Florida, met a series of friends, and we did what young friends do. We goofed around, we played around. One day, we were goofing around maybe 6 blocks away from where we lived. And it was starting to get dark. And in those days, when the street lights came on, it was a notification for you to go home.
Right.
I just figured it was like some type of police ordinance or something. But one of the guys, as we're going home, was explaining to me, no, man, when the street lights come on, the mini lights come out. And I'm like, well, what the heck is that? And he explained it to me. There's two different, there was basically duality in the name. They were a bunch of small creatures, people, demons, that would chase people at night and try to catch them. And they were really small, so they called them mini, as in small, and lights, because you could see their eyes glowing in the dark. Also, many lights, because there was a great many of them that would chase you. So you'd see all of these lights, you'd see many lights. Plus they were small, so you'd see many miniature lights. So the name had duality, and I thought that was kind of interesting. But he's like, no, you're taking this the wrong way, man. He's like, you don't want these things to catch you. So I went home that night and I thought about it, and I was like, wow, it's kind of weird. And we didn't have the internet and Google and all that kind of stuff back then. If you wanted to know something, you need to go to the library. The library did not have any specifics on this. So
Where did you live in St. Pete?
I lived in, you said, when did I move there?
Yeah, where did you live? Where did you live around when you
I lived on 9th and 40th. I lived about 6 or 7 blocks away from you, I think.
So it was you were close to where this place where the legend took place, the park?
Yes. The legend says that this woman, now see, if you ask people, they'll tell you that the mini lights are at Booker's Creek.
Right, that's what I read.
But the way the story works is, because people will also tell you that they're at Child's Park. The way the story works, the way it was told to me was a woman came, moved to Florida.
Whose name was Minnie.
Oh, I've heard that. And she had a child. The child was not, he was on the spectrum, is what they call it now. The child was on the spectrum. The child went to play with some friends. The friends would never play with him. One day he wanted to play with the friends, and they finally decided, okay, you can play with us. He's on the spectrum. He wasn't supposed to wander away from house, but he did. He left the house and he ended up at Booker's Creek. One of the children, a very mean child that did not like the child on the spectrum hanging out with them, drowned the child. The child in the water being drowned smiled and laughed as much as he could, because in his mind, he was finally getting to play with his friends. Even though at that moment, that person was unaliving him, he was happy about it because he was finally a part of the group. He passed. They recovered the body at Booker's Creek. So the woman mourned. A stranger visits her at night and offers her revenge. She wants revenge. So he inducts her in the way of becoming a witch. They say he was probably the devil or something. He makes her a witch. She's like, I'm going to get those little kids, but the first thing I'm going to do is bring my son back. Her son was small. He was just a kid. He was like 7. She brings him back from being unalived, and she forces a piece of her spirit in him. That makes his eyes glow because he was hollow before. Now his eyes are glowing with the spirit, a portion of the spirit of his mother. And she wants revenge, so she sends him out to go get those kids. The last thing he remembers is Booker Creek. So he's hanging out at Booker Creek looking for the kids, and he catches one. The kid disappears. They turn him into a mini light to help him catch the other kids. Now there's 2 of them. And through the years, it becomes more and more, and they hang out at Booker's Creek. So you see them at night at Booker's Creek looking for revenge, trying to get the kids, all the kids. You see them at Charles Park because that's where the mother's house was. So even if the kids leave, they're always coming to and from that house. So you see them at Booker's Creek because that's where their hangout is. That's where they're looking for victims. You see them at Charles Park because that's where they live. So that was the way the story was given to me. And I got to tell you, I am pretty sure I've been chased by the mini lights twice.
Let's get to that. I was reading on it. Like I said, I never knew about this before you mentioned it to me. I did, and I lived in St. Pete for years, and I don't know how I never heard about it. So, and then I start doing the research, and I see all these things about the mini lights. I'm like, how did I not know about this living there? But I heard different legends than what you just told me. I heard
I've heard a few.
that, right. One of the things that I was reading is that it was like this, a voodoo priestess named Minnie who moved to the area, like, escaping, whatever, moved to the area. And also it had to do with like people taunting her and everything. And, to get her revenge and everything, she started placing these curses. One of the legends that I read, there was like, that it was 3 little people from the circus, in the freak shows back then that came to visit her to help, but they wanted her help, but she didn't know who they were, so she put a curse on them. And that's where the story of the little mini lights comes. They're the ones that are chasing people now. And I've read either, a lot of times it's like the little lights or little orb type lights, like basketball size. And there was one place that I read, there was even like, this dark figure, like this shadowy figure with no face or anything like that, but just the green lights, the eyes. So I don't know, but I read different things. But so I want to hear your experience. So you've seen these things.
In my youth,
and we have friends that have seen them. You and I have mutual friends who have seen these.
Do.
Yes. All right. So,
our one friend, when you and I met, that was playing basketball with you, name starts with a W.
Okay.
That guy, he knows about him. We talked about it. I couldn't get him to come onto the show, not because he didn't want to do it, but I just, he didn't want to get on the show. He didn't want to be on the internet. Okay. But there's a few of them. Eddie knows about the mini light. Roger. There's a few guys that we know. I would venture more people. You and I know more people that know about them than you and I know more people that don't know about them.
Right. Okay.
They're a pretty big legend. I went on Facebook and I asked people if they knew about it, and I got a series of people that knew about it. I got a couple people that DM'd me, and they're like, "Hey, man, you can't talk about them." And I'm like, "Well, I'm in Denver now, so it doesn't matter. I'll talk about them as much as I want, and they'll come get you."
Well, I'm going to ask about that, but go ahead, finish up. I want to ask about that aspect of it.
So they, I know a lot of people who know about it. I mean, there's several. I can think off the top of my head. There's at least 3 urban legends that originate in St. Pete, but this one is probably by far the biggest one. And I went to Gibbs, and even in school, we would talk about it. There were times when I was on a track team, and we would come back from a meet in Clearwater or wherever, and we'd come back, and the guys would take their cleats off and put their regular rubber bottom soled sneakers on. And I'm like, "Why are you changing your shoes?" And one guy said, "Oh, well, I don't want to mess up my cleats." But everybody else was like, "Well, we got to get home before the mini lights come out." It was even as what I considered myself to be an adult. In high school, I was in 12th grade. I was an adult.
Right.
But even my first thoughts as an adult, everyone around me still spoke about them um, in horror because they knew in their mind, they were positive that if you were out at night, especially if you were by yourself, that they would run up on you and grab you and drag you into Booker's Creek and drown you.
Right.
And I didn't want that. I didn't want any of that action. So I tried to get home, as quick as possible, always. But that was the thing. You had to get away. You had to get home. Street lights are on. You better get out of here. So yeah, but a lot of guys I know and girls know about that.
So before we get to the thing about whether you've seen or not, but so here's the legend that I was reading that if you call out, and here's the saying, many lights come out tonight. You have to say it 3 times, like in all good legends, like like Beetlejuice, where they took from there. And if you say it 3 times, they will come to get you. We'll
Yes.
see whether or not does this apply to wherever you live, or you have to be there to say it.
Well, I think most
If you're in Denver, I'm
mythologies,
on St. Pete, I'm the other coast right now. So if we said it, are we fine or we're not fine?
we would be fine because just like there's a ritual of saying that name 3 times, or Bloody Mary, or Beetlejuice,
Right,
or 5 times for the Hook Man. I'm not going to say his
right,
name. That guy, the sweet guy. Um, they all have specifics. Just like Freddy Krueger would not attack you unless you were a part of the Elm Street kids. Jason wouldn't attack you unless you had something to do with Crystal Lake. And they were methodical and specific. Candyman only attacks Cabrini Green. You have to be looking into a mirror if you want to say the Bloody Mary thing.
right.
You've got to be in that creepy haunted house to call Beetlejuice. With the mini lights, it's very similar. You have to be in St. Pete and near Charles Park or Booker's Creek. If you call them, they'll come out because that's their hunting ground.
But we would be technically be safe if we said it now.
We would be technically safe, but
Are you
not
willing to
safe
do it or
enough.
you're not willing to do it?
I was going to say, I don't know if I'm willing enough to do it, to
Okay.
risk it, because it could be that people have set it away from St. Pete and they came and got them, so they never told anybody. Oh, don't say it, because you know we could say it though, because I'm a rugged prototype of manhood. I think I could handle a midget. So then again, Chucky was little too. So
Yes. Well, these are not like little people. These are like supposedly like, well, maybe they are, but they're like little lights, just the lights chasing you. No, isn't that what it is?
it could be because I'll say I've heard the legend about the lights, and as I got older, I was really into this kind of stuff. So I was reading the books and everything, and I was following all kinds of different lore, and they're all across the entire planet, and including 23,000 miles into space. When you hit the upper atmosphere, there's that too. There's always been globes. There's even pictures of it in old 16th century paintings where they've got the orbs floating around, the building. So they've been around forever. So it is very possible, because I've heard that. I've heard that it's just the orbs and it's not an actual tangible
Physical
body.
entity, right?
Yeah, but I've also heard that those orbs are the eyes of the children.
Right.
And I've heard the thing about the, maybe scrunched adults, but I've heard a few different legends, and all of them equal out to beware those little mini lights, whatever's attached to them.
You said Child's Park. I was reading here. Where is it? One of the things that I was reading was Roser Park. So, or along Booker Creek. Well, you mentioned Booker Creek, I think, right?
Yeah, Booker
Right.
Creek, yeah.
Booker Creek. That it's right there. That it has. And some people I was reading that they lived in the sewers, or they lived. It's all by where this witch's or this woman's house used to be, and so some things I was reading is that the house is gone now, that it's paved over, but other people said no. Do you know if that's true? Is the house still there or no?
When I was last in Florida, which would have been about 20 years ago, when I was last living in Florida, it was still there. Well, there was a house that people
They
has
called it.
had
They said that was
designated.
it. Right.
Yeah, they said that was the house. Um, and again, being a rugged prototype of manhood, I still did not venture into that house to check it out. I didn't go into the yard, and if I went by, I crossed the street, just in case, just in case.
I'd be the same. I don't know if I could go by. Start saying
Because you
by the
never
house.
know. You never know. Um,
It's like
there
you
was
don't
a
believe in these things, and then, well, let's be safe. Let's not tempt it.
I can almost guarantee every single person that was ever killed by a vampire or a werewolf, it was a surprise. They were surprised by it. They didn't wake up and say, "I think I'll get bit by a vampire." They got surprised every time. So I don't want that kind of surprise.
So when you posted on Facebook, you said a lot of people did know the legends. A lot of people were aware of it.
Yeah. And even on Facebook, a lot of people had different versions of that legend.
So, do we know anyone? You said that. Oh, I'm saying his name. You have to edit that out.
Yeah.
So has he? Have our friends seen that or no?
A few people have. I'm actually looking for it right now to see if anybody actually says that they have seen it. But I know that he's seen it. I'm sure. I've got a friend named Tori in St. Pete, and actually one time he and I were chased together.
So what
Um,
was that experience like? What was that? What did you see?
so here's the caveat on that. I was younger. I was like maybe 14, and I don't know if it was youthful adrenaline and fear mixed with, my own imagination. I don't know if it was just my own imagination and the adrenaline and the fact that he was there and thinking about the stories, and it was dark, and the street lights had been on for at least 20 minutes. We were walking trying to get home. We were out playing street football and everything. And we were walking together. The time that I was with Tori, we were walking together, and he asked me if I heard something. And I was like, don't do that. That's not funny. And we walked a little bit, and he turned around and he said, "Many lights." And he just started running. So I just started
So he's
running
not just
because
messing with you.
I wasn't sure. But I turned around, and again, if it was not my imagination, if it was an actual thing, I'll tell you what I saw. And we can blame it on whatever. But when I turned around, I saw about 6 or 7 groups of lights. They were fairly close to the ground. They were just like your pitch behind you. They were yellowish green, and they were maybe 20 yards behind us. But it was clearly moving towards us. As we're running, I look back again, and they're maybe 10 yards behind us. They're close. So we're running, and when I hit the street, because we were running through like a field, when I hit the street, I turned because I wanted to be running on the road so that with the street light, I could look back and get a look at whatever was chasing me. He kept running, ran right across the street and right into the field. I turned and kept running. I'm running, and after about 5 or 6 seconds, I was like, if anything's back there, it's behind me and it's on the street, so I can turn and look at it. I'm terrified, but I'm trying to be rational. I'm trying to tell myself, you know what, that was somebody's dog, or it's some kids with some lights. They're just trying to scare us, or it's just my buddy, and or whatever it is isn't there anymore. So I'm running, and I turn to look behind me. And have you ever seen those wildlife movies where they're watching like deer run through the field, and you
Yes.
see like foo, 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 foo. That's what I saw. When I looked back, I saw like boom, 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 and I saw things goes into the light, out of the light, and into the field chasing my buddy. I turned and they just went straight. They didn't even, nothing even turned towards me. So I stopped running for a second. I kind of looked around because I was thinking, they could have gone this way, turned this way, and then now they're like right in front of me or something. So I turned and looked around for a few seconds, and then I just started running again. And I ran and I kept running until I got home. And I didn't see him for 2 days. And he told me he was upset because I left him and those things chased him for almost a mile.
Well, he's still around now, so they didn't get him. Oh, that's spoiler alert. So
Yeah, they didn't get him. So it could be, he could have set something up, and it could have been some of the guys from the neighborhood just being goofy. And once they ran, and the reason that they ran across the street instead of chasing me is because they didn't want me to get a good look at them. Now, I'm not sure if people know, but I'm wearing contacts now, but normally I wear glasses. And my glasses were steamy because I was hot. It's hard to see. So just like Bigfoot, I didn't get a good look.
See, now I'm tempted the next time I go to St. Pete. I'm tempted to go to this park. I don't know if I go at night. And I've been reading that. I'm reading that for the most part at night it's like kind of like empty, except when you have the teens, the occasional teens that go out there and on purpose try to call out the lights and everything like that.
Yeah.
I don't know if I'd be that brave, but
oh, go ahead.
No, I mean, I'm the type I find it fascinating. I would probably go to a cemetery at night too. I find it creepy, but I'd probably go there, see all the haunted things. But certain things I don't know why creep me out more than others. So I like if I read stories that something's like I would see ghosts, but maybe they're benevolent, I might go to the thing to see it at night. I mean, I've gone on haunted tours, I've gone on haunted hotels on purpose, try to see the ghost there, and I've never seen anything, which I'm very disappointed about. But I do go to places that say that they're haunted. But when I read that these entities or whatever are not, not nice things, and they attack you, I'm not so sure that I do would venture to these places. So that's one of the things. So I don't know if I'd go to the mini lights area at night, but I do want to go there now and see it though there too.
Well, the next time I'm in St. Pete, we definitely have to hit some of those places. I've got to make it down far enough down so I can catch up with you, Carlos, and we can get together and everything. But that would be an adventure. That would be a thing.
We're going to have to start doing some on location spots. So do you believe yes or no in the mini lights? You believe in him?
Oh yeah, without a doubt. I believe in him.
You believe there's something there?
I do.
Yeah. I'm far enough away that I don't know if that I feel comfortable in it. I don't know whether I believe in this yet too, but I'm curious. I'll say that it sparked a whole curiosity in me now that someplace that I used to live has this legend that I never knew of. That I really want to see when I go back and visit that side of Florida. So I mean, I have a UFO experience that I had in St. Pete. We'll talk about when we do a UFO show. So,
okay.
But I am definitely intrigued about the mini lights in this. So anything else that we wanted to cover on this one?
That's it. They're just they're the reason, one of the reasons that I think there might be a little bit of validity to it is because with like say a werewolf, people know what a werewolf basically looks like. Mm-hmm. With a vampire, people basically know what it looks like. But with stuff like Bloody Mary, if you got 6 or 7 different people together to draw a picture of what they thought it was or what they thought they had seen, you're probably going to get at least 3 or 4 different pictures because there's an aspect of reality to it. If 5 or 6 people met me at a party and then a week later you ask them to tell you about me, you probably get different things. Because if I felt like telling one person a joke, if I happen to be drinking, I don't drink, but if I was drinking, I'd have a different personality. They would meet me at different points and have different aspects. That's a reality of the thing. A werewolf is always going to look like a werewolf, no matter what. Everybody's going to draw the exact same thing because it's in your head is what it is. With the mini lights, there are different stories because people are honestly having different experiences with it. It's not like what happened. Oh, it was this furry guy with long teeth and nails. He chased me and he howled at the moon. Everybody's going to say that about a werewolf. With the mini lights, what happened to you on that specific night is the story that you convey. What happened to somebody else that would be slightly different, you get a slightly different story. So with that, that's what to me makes me second guess, that not being real. Because I'm like,
Right.
well, they're not saying the exact, they're saying very similar stories, but it doesn't sound like it's scripted. It doesn't sound like everybody's just supposed to say one thing. They're saying something very similar.
Supposedly they made a Mini Lights movie, which is that thing behind me, but I've not seen it. Have you seen the Mini Lights movie?
I saw it. I thought it was going to be a full-on movie. It's a documentary. There's a couple of guys. If you and I decided and we got together and did it, we could make a movie and put it on Tubi. I've got two cousins that have movies on Tubi. These guys are some guys from St. Pete. They decided that they wanted to make a show. No disrespect to them. They decided they wanted to make a show, and they just kind of walked around St. Pete and just talked to people about the mini lights.
That's
and
cool.
They made a documentary, and they just stuck it on there. It's like
I'm gonna have to watch
like
this.
an hour.
I'm gonna have to watch that. But let us know what you guys think. Let us know if you believe in the mini lights, have any experience with the mini lights, and if you've heard other legends besides the ones that we said today that you heard about the origin of it. And thanks for watching, and please like, comment, and subscribe.
Thank you for watching Nightmares Before Bed. And now, it's time to shut the lights, close your eyes, and go to sleep. If you can.